Alright, got some birds chirping. Alright, let's try not to do this 800 times. Okay, so here we are again, and I am going to read you this thing instead of having you read it yourself. So, starts like this. I had a revelation yesterday. And over the years, I've told people that as a child I heard an audible voice of God speak to me, saying, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you." But something profound dawned on me. Not once that I can remember has anyone ever asked, what did his voice sound like? And isn't that strange? It's as if that word carries so many implications that people would rather dismiss it than wonder. But wouldn't a heart that truly seeks the Lord ask the question? Maybe the silence says more than we think. Maybe it says that we only want God on our terms, and anything outside that box, we quietly ignore. Isn't that what the Pharisees did? They wanted Jesus to show up like a knight in shining armor, a tall, strong, handsome man who fit their image of a righteous king. Think about how our culture portrays Jesus, or a man of God. He's got to be a doctor or a lawyer, highly esteemed and educated, a sharp haircut, clean clothes, and a motivating voice, always loudly proclaiming love and acceptance, and just a gentle soul with a hint of reverence for holiness. But if he came into the town square, flipping non-profit tables and declaring judgment on our cities, he would surely be portrayed as a demon-possessed, as a hateful, divisive, and full of discrimination. And without a great family name or credentials, there's no way he would ever be accepted, except by a few. And we need to be honest with ourselves. You're probably not one of those few who would accept him. And this should challenge us to put away the image of God that our culture, our schools, and even our families have fed us. We need to break away, reset, and seek God for ourselves. The Bible is true. Time and scrutiny have seen to that. We need to read it and pray that we are all freed from the false images that we have believed. So, I wish that I could preach more love, but I once heard a man say, "That is not who God has shaped me to be." And in our time, we need people preaching literal deliverance from sin through the power of Jesus. It's not hard for me to understand why people have never asked, what did his voice sound like? Because that would imply, "For I am with you." It would imply that God is real, that Jesus is who he says he is, and the Trinity is true, and all the other religions are not. It would imply that we don't need priests, pastors, or scholars to reach God. We simply hear the gospel, the stories, the testimonies, and we believe, and our relationship with God is formed. It implies we don't need religious degrees or advanced theological studies, only to come to him as a child, humble, knowing nothing, not seeking exaltation, but simply his providence in our lives. It would imply that even if you don't like me, for some reason, God chose me. And I believe he's waiting for you, for the moment you step towards him, so he can use you too. I believe no one ever asked, because the truth it implies is something that they're not ready to accept. But God still speaks today. The false images have created a massive barrier between us. They must be torn down.